Hello. So welcome and thank you for joining us today. Um, so if you can just introduce yourself, I believe that you are a mental health specialist. Um, so if you could just like tell us your name and what you specialize in. Yeah.
Okay, hi. I'm Frances, and I'm actually based in Australia. And so I'm actually a fashion designer, but I'm actually an advocate for mental health, for social issues, and yeah, that's pretty much what I do. But where a lot of the stuff that I do, so with the fashion brand, we have been selected for Runway 7 Fashion in New York in February. And a lot of what I've actually done with like mental health and cultural diversity really ties into fashion show. And so it's really about highlighting people's struggles and their achievements and how they are as people. So that's what I do. Yeah.
Okay. And how long have you been doing this for?
I'm literally the fashion stuff is maybe about, what are we now? Maybe about 8 months. Whereas like the mental health advocate and social issues it's always been like just a part of me. Like I've always been just doing community work, just out there, like within my community, because I lived in a small town. So the small town I lived in only had maybe like one university and three major shopping centers. So it's a real country town. And so, it was really we were really more like a community, whereas I've moved to the city now. So it's a little bit different, the city. So yeah. And then but otherwise I've been pretty much been working with like refugees and asylum seekers for quite a while and just pretty much just out there in the community. And a lot of the things I do is also based on because I've lived and traveled everywhere. So I've lived in China, Mexico, Malaysia, Hong
Ah,
Kong, yeah, Singapore. And so the list goes on, but we've literally, with my family and I, we've traveled everywhere. We lived in places where people didn't speak English. So a lot of the stuff that I do is, I guess, really relatable to people who are struggling to adapt to a new country or come to a new country and things like that. Yeah.
okay. And like, what made you want to get into mental health? Like, what does it mean to you?
I think for me, especially with what's happened in the pandemic, I feel like we have really, as people have really are still trying to find ourselves like after this pandemic, like it's still kind of there. But I think for me personally, it was always really about the community and really helping other people. But lately with the pandemic, for me personally, having moved from the country to the city, it took a lot out of me because, in the country, it's kind of like where because it is a small town, your friends just live across the road or that relative's just around the corner, but you come to the city and you don't know anybody. And even if you do know people, they live on the other side of town. It takes like 30 minutes or it takes like, an hour to see them. So it was like I had to really adjust to living in the city, even though I've lived in big cities before, but it's been, I think, nearly like maybe 20 years since I lived in a big city. So it was just kind of like, I think that big change and that big shift. And then when we had lockdown, it really got me because I was mentally like, oh, none of my friends are ringing me or none of the people I see all the time are, they're here anymore. So what do I do? And then because I was also a bit unwell, I had like bronchitis last year, the year before when the pandemic started, had pneumonia, and this year had COVID.
No.
So mentally, I was also like, is there something wrong with me health wise? Like, is it serious? And so I was kind of like in my room for about 3 months, and it was just kind of draining a little bit. But it was just like, how do I get over this, or what do I do? And then to top it off, a few of the close friends that I knew or were really close to, they were sick themselves. They had cancer. And so a few of them had passed away. And it was people that I always had spoken to every week. And so then, when that happened, it was like, what's going on? Like, how do I adjust to everything that's, going on? And also for me, moving from where I moved from, because I wanted to expand the business, go back into fashion or do a lot of other things. But being with the pandemic, it's like it really restricted.
You couldn't do much.
Yeah,
you couldn't
exactly.
do much. And it really affected a lot of people, and yeah, I mean, people who already have depression, it would have made it worse. So,
yes.
But yeah, I mean, at least we're in normality now. Slowly, I guess.
Yeah, it's an interesting time, because it's like, I know some people like, oh yeah, like a friend of mine, she said her grandparents just got COVID. I'm like, it's crazy. Like, no one's really talking about COVID now. They're kind of focusing on other things. But yeah, it's been a long journey for everybody. So yes.
Yeah. And at least you're better now anyway from everything. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, to mentally, I think it's just really mind over matter. Like, you really have to focus on how I guess
it's all in the mind, exactly.
Yeah.
And apart from like the pandemic and COVID and all of that, what do you think is the main causes to lead to mental health? Like, what do you think?
I think it could be like family environment, or just the environment you have, or even your group of friends, because people always be like, oh, friends, they come and go, but that's true. But the kind of friends that you have, whether they're positive or negative, can really affect who you are as a person. And I think, we as people are still are always adjusting to, we adjust ourselves according to our friends, or we adjust ourselves based on what's happening around us. So I feel like, especially, the people you interact with definitely have an impact on your life. So I think that's really one of the biggest things
I
for me
agree,
personally.
actually. You need to be with positive people, Yeah, I totally agree. And like, sorry, I'm just looking at my list of questions. And what do you think is the best approach when like helping someone through mental health, when treating them? Do you think medication is good, or like the natural remedies?
No, I think it depends on the situation, really. But I think, obviously, if it's a serious mental health issue and they've been diagnosed, then, based on that situation, if they have medication, then that's, what they should be taking, or, continue to do, or whatever's been prescribed. But I think also, it's really about supporting the person. Like, I think as humans, we spend so much time just listening to reply. We're not actually listening to what's being said. And I think we miss out so much on what is actually being said, instead of actually listening to what they're really telling us. So I think, but also, you need to be really patient with the person, because sometimes it's not easy. And it doesn't matter if it's family or friends, or whether you have kids or whatever it is, you as a person still have to, even though you want to help everybody, you still have to take time out and really think about what's happening in their life. Try to put yourself in their shoes, and, vice versa. But sometimes it doesn't always work, but it's just, I think it's really just about really just supporting them, and just finding ways of how we as people can help one another to make each other better people.
Yes, I totally agree. And I think it's the natural methods that help. I mean, and here in the UK, I don't know about Australia, but here in the UK, there's not much help out there for people who suffer from mental health. The GPs just prescribe medication, but, they don't really go in depth of what the actual cause is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's how it's like here. But yeah, I mean, I always say, meeting up with a friend, therapy, the natural methods help. But I guess whatever works for everyone, isn't it, really?
Yeah, definitely. Because we did, I think, just before the pandemic hit, there's a Pacific Islander community. One of the ladies, she brings in items of clothes into Australia, and we did a mental health awareness week where it was basically like in the Pacific Islander community, a lot of people were on the plus size. And so people are feeling, body conscious about themselves. But we basically had different sizes of clothing, men and women, and we pretty much just showcased it and was like, you matter. Like your appearance isn't important, but you need to also feel good about yourself in order to, make something of yourself. And so, a lot of the clothes we had was bright clothing, it was colorful, and we had music. So it really kind of had like that island vibe that we usually have, just music and culture. So it was really about that. But it was really showcasing and saying to people that no matter what you look like, you should always feel good about yourself. So
It's totally true. And I feel that fashion is sort of, and modeling and all of that is sort of linked to um, mental health, I believe, because it's so true. Because, like, most of the models are size zero, and the media, I mean, that's how the media has portrayed it to be, and we all want to be size zero or whatever, but there is like plus size models, sizes for curvy women, and I'm quite curvy, plus size, I would say. So yeah, I think the body can really make you feel low about yourself, give you low self-esteem, you know? So it's true, we have to love ourselves, I guess.
yeah, definitely. And that's what we've created with our brand. It's called Beautifully Diverse Fashion. And so it's really about encouraging people to just really be themselves. So we've got that fashion show coming up in February in New York, but we have people from all different backgrounds. People have flown in from everywhere. We got like people coming in from Canada, someone's flew in from Ghana, and I'm coming in from Australia, but we have people from all different parts of the US, but they're all different ages. I think we have 20 to 50. And then a lot of them are from, some of them have modeled before, some of them haven't. But, in the fashion industry, it's so specific. There's a criteria. So for me personally, I have literally just overlook that, whether they have experience in the industry or not. Because honestly, with the catwalk, it's teachable. You can teach somebody how to walk. It's really not that hard. I mean, it's called the catwalk for a reason because the cat can do it. So, but it's really what we do is really about highlighting people just as they are, because in reality, people have been, whether they've had cancer, whether they have, black or blonde hair or whatever. But we even have a person who is physically disabled. They're an activist in the community for the, disability community and stuff like that. So it's really going to highlight who they are as people and really, I guess, showcase that everybody has a story, and we shouldn't really judge based on how they look, because at the end of the day, we all, go through the same thing. We have like, a 9 to 5 job, or, whether we're running a business or whatever it may be, we have family members we don't like, whatever it is, so it's really going to showcase that. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds really good. So it's like you're basically, it's fashion to for all types of people, what you're doing, sort of
Yeah,
thing.
definitely. Yeah. So because a lot of the fashion industry has still got a criteria, they kind of so there'll be things like they want to see a walk video. Based on your walk, if you can walk or not, they're going to be like, oh, this person kind of walks, or, whatever it may be, so they still have that certain criteria. But I also model, and especially in Australia. So I'm kind of like on the plus side. And there was been cases where I had applied for something and it said, everybody can apply. But when I get there, that's not the case. So it was really kind of like it puts you kind of in an awkward position, because it's like, okay, it says everyone can apply, but there's nothing for you. So we really wanted to make sure we like cater to everybody who who's felt left out, or we really want to make sure we include everybody. Yeah.
That's so cool. And because there's not much fashion industries like that, is there? They're looking for specifics, I think. Most, fashion designers, or what I mean. They look for, yeah, but that's really good, diverse. Um, and
Yeah.
what's the the company called? The fashion industry.
Diverse fashion. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, it's
And
on Instagram and Facebook.
okay, so it's for everyone all over the world,
Pretty
literally.
much. It's been like we've literally just I started from scratch about 8 months ago. I do actually study health. I was doing a master's of what do you call it? A master's of public health. But I became hearing impaired before the pandemic. So I actually, and a lot of universities don't cater to hearing impaired people. So I actually dropped out, and then I tapped into my creative side a bit more. And here we are. And then eventually, as the brand grows, would like to, go back to school and finish it. But it was like, for now, I can't really do much. And then with the shift of the pandemic, it was kind of like everyone's now is, networking online. They're becoming more creative. And that was pretty much my thing. So I was like, okay, we're just gonna, even though sometimes I've got no idea what's going on, what I'm doing, but it's been a wild ride. And we've had people apply from all different parts of the world, different backgrounds, men and women, so we even have people, indigenous people, LGBT. So yeah, I should say LGBTQ, I think. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Um, so yeah, I mean, you've covered literally everything. And have you got any questions or anything you want to share to anyone?
I'm not really sure. I think what do you think is the best way to deal with mental health? Like what do you personally do?
I I like to go through therapy or speak to a friend for advice. Have long conversations with a friend, I would say, really helps me, even if I have to cry to them. And I think for me, that works well. Or just going out, not being stuck at home all day, because that really causes me to be depressed. And because I'm an extrovert, I like to go out, I like to meet people. Um, so yeah, stuff like that really. Medication, like you said, it just depends of the severity of it, really. Um, but yeah, so that's, but mental health does mean a lot to me, like, because there is a lot going on in this world that people don't like to share because people always keep it bottled up. So I feel it's good to raise awareness. It's important. And yeah, so that's why I'm doing it.
Yeah, well, good on you. Yeah, we definitely need more people to really talk about it, talk about what's been happening in their life in the last couple of years, because it's definitely not been easy for anybody, no matter which part of the
No,
world. Just, yeah.
but thank you so much for your contribution today. And I really hope that people can relate. And yeah, I mean, they can look up your fashion company as well and see how it is. But yeah, I'm just going to stop the recording now. Hold on.
Okay. Thank you.